wanna heal?
Yeah.
Wait, I gotta feel it? No. Ooh, I just don't know. But I wanna grow. Where can I go? To a safe place.
Hey, family. Welcome to A Safe Space podcast. I am your host, Michaela Forbes. We continue our conversation on healing after divorce. In the room today, we have a special lady. She is special because she is my big sister. Welcome, Sheriece Turnquest.
Thank you, baby sister.
Hey, sis, how are you?
I'm well.
Okay. Sheriece always says that I think I'm the older sister, but she is my older sister, and my mom just has me and her. So it has been the Three Musketeers all our life. That's all we know. Lots of estrogen was in the house many days. Sheriece has definitely been a part of my support system when going through divorce. It made the process a little easier. I could go to her with questions and say, did you feel this way? Did you feel this way? And I knew I was not alone. So I want to openly thank her for that, firstly, and then just ask her this question. Sis, how important is a strong support group when you're going through divorce?
Okay. But before I answer that, let me first say that you're welcome. And I'm happy that I was able to go through something that I was eventually able to help you to journey through a little bit easier. So how important is a support system in going through a divorce? Very important. Divorce, like many other things that you may not plan for, is very painful. Mm-hmm. And so if you do not have someone or the right people to be with you during that journey, you can literally fail, crash, burn.
Yes.
And so it's very important that you not only, make sure that you have a support system, but make sure that the persons that you want to be a part of that system are actually persons who are real.
Yes.
Persons who are able to, let's say, who should be there.
Yes.
Because when you go through a divorce and other things that are little touchy subjects for some people, some persons, they do want to journey with you, but not because they want to help you heal.
Yes.
Sometimes it's about me coming in and seeing, how much I know and what I'm going to find
what
out
happened?
And all the juice and all of that. And so sometimes we may say, I want that support system. And some people are ready and eager, but they're eager for the wrong reason.
Yes.
And so you have to make sure that while it's important for you to have that support system, you are very discerning and very wise about who gives that support to you.
Yes. So pray about the discernment from God to pray about so you could know who comes in your space, the right people come in your space. But what I want to add, one word you said is real. One thing when you're going through divorce, either your real friends show up or the friends that you need to let go show up. And when I say real, I know people think that friends are the people who just agree with you, let you do it your way. Nope. Your real friends, they check you and they check you in love. And I must say, I had a few real friends who I was almost like, you're my friend or you're a friend but they was checking me and they was checking me in love. And I think we all need that. And even though you might not accept it in that moment, eventually you come back around and say, you know what? They were saying that in love and you accept it then and you realize how much of friendship it is. I remember when we was growing up, you didn't have much girlfriends. She didn't have much girlfriends. I had a lot of girlfriends. She didn't have much girlfriends. She mostly had male friends. So I want to ask you this question. When you were going through your divorce, do you think that you had a strong support system?
Initially, I don't think so. One of those reasons was because, again, like you said, I didn't have many female friends, and that was actually intentional from high school because, sometimes we were in that era where females get together and it was just drama. Yeah. And so I felt as though it was more easier for me to connect with males. And so therefore, growing up, it was kind of hard. I had a few female friends who I was able to share things with. Mm-hmm. And they were also there where, even when I didn't share anything, they were able to be there without even saying that they were there. Yeah. And that was one of the things that made them part of my strong support system. On the other hand, there were times when I felt as though that persons who should have been a part of the dependable support system, they were not. Yeah. And so
Yes.
in the beginning, I was like, okay, I don't have the support system that I want. And it was a part where you can get angry.
Yes.
You know, but you had to eventually, I guess with discernment, realize that God was kind of, I guess, choosing people specifically for what I was going through.
Yes.
For example, when I was going through a divorce, you and mommy were there physically, but we were not at that place yet where we could talk about our emotions and, you know,
Yeah.
our heart getting break and, you know, all that type of thing.
I don't know if you can talk about Bumi now, actually.
Well, we're getting there.
We're
You know,
getting there.
There are certain things we
Baby
can talk
steps.
about, and she'd still shy away a little bit, but
Yeah.
you know, we were not there.
Yeah.
And so if I had seen it as like, I guess, any other way, I would have felt as though you guys weren't there.
Yeah.
Because I would have expected, you know, sometimes people feel, well, oh, my support system has to call me, they have to talk to me, they have to be there for me. No.
Yeah.
Depending on what it is you need, God supplies basically what you need. So at the point, there was a time when I needed y'all there to be there physically. Don't say nothing to me. Just be there physically.
Yeah.
There were times when I needed people to just say, Sheriece, I'm praying for you. Don't ask me nothing.
Yeah.
There were times when I needed people to say, sweet girl, you've been down a little too long. Time to get up. You're running out.
Yes.
Okay? And so in each moment that I needed it,
Yeah.
it came. But in the moment, I couldn't see that. I just felt as though, you know, I was so used to being by myself that maybe I was supposed to go through this by myself.
Yeah.
But he showed me, God showed me that, okay, you want people here at a certain point, and he gave them to me.
Yeah.
But then even when I didn't want them, because he knew that that's what I needed, he kind of sifted them in. And certain persons who I never thought would have been a part of my dependable support system became that. And so, you know, like you said in the beginning, it's just about having discernment and allowing God to show you that, hey, this is what I need you to embrace for the moment, because it's difficult. You don't want to invite anyone else in.
Yes.
But he's going to sometimes show you, like you said, the real friends who are going to be there, no questions asked, whether they don't come by you or not.
Yeah.
But they call, or they send a text note, or they send something, and they show you that, hey, you know, I may not know what you're going through. Because believe me, the friends that I have, I don't know if any of them are divorced.
That's true. That's true.
And so sometimes in my mind, I'm like, what they could tell me? Like they home with their husband,
Yeah.
you know, they happy. But he showed me the fact that there was still love in the midst of that.
Yeah.
And I was able to glean from that. And, you know, one story that I will say reminded me of them, especially the ones who were not in my place, was, you know, remember when they talked about the paralyzed man and his friends literally digged the tiles out of the roof to get into Jesus.
Yes.
There were times when I felt that way, because there were times when I felt like pushing myself away and saying, you know, Lord, hang on your run today. Like, you know, I'm here. I don't understand why I'm here. But he literally sent people who made it their mission to do whatever they had to do to make sure that I did not lose that connection with him. And so they dug the tiles.
Yeah.
And they lowered me, and they say, sis, you may not want to talk to him today, but you could talk to him today. And so initially it wasn't, but eventually I was able to see that they were there all the while.
Yeah, and God will send them. But I want to say is, like, you were always a person who liked to be by themselves. I think you would go in your room, not talk. I mean, maybe like, should we go in there? Should we go in there today?
Yeah,
let's see. Let's see. But you got divorced before I got divorced. So I don't even know if I knew how to be there for you. Like, looking back in retrospect, getting divorced, I don't even know if I knew how to be there for you. So, but hopefully in some aspect I was there, and you was able to see that I'm always here for you. I remember one time when I was going through my separation, and it was me, you, and Mom. And me and Mom was going at it and going at it and going at it. Eventually you just said, y'all need to give each other grace. Because I think Mommy was going through something, I was going through something, and you just stopped us to say, give each other grace. I would like you to speak to how important grace is in healing after a divorce.
Okay. I can't remember that particular point, because we've had a lot of heated conversations at the table. So we have to exercise grace a lot. But basically, I think in the moments when we did talk about it, it was the fact that even though we were all going through painful times, we still had to give each other grace, because we were both going through a divorce, but that didn't mean that we were going through the same thing.
Yes, that's true.
Because I may handle something one way, you may handle it another way. Grace also meant that, you know, I have to realize that at the end of the day, there are going to be decisions that I'm going to make that you may not agree with. And you may not agree with it because you love me so much as my sister or my mother. And you have to realize that in that moment, maybe she's making that decision because of where she's at mentally.
Yeah.
And she's not ready to listen to what anyone has to say. So I'm going to give her grace so that eventually, if she wants to, she can come back and say, but I made a mistake. Probably let me consider it this way. You give yourself grace because at the end of the day, you're dealing with something that's very, like I said, again, painful. Some days in a moment, you can be happy. The next minute, you're depressed.
Yes.
And so you give yourself grace to say that, okay, today I'm okay. But if I'm not okay tomorrow, that's okay, as long as I don't stay there.
Yeah.
And so grace gives us that permission to realize that, okay, some people are going to understand what I'm going through. But I can't fault them. I can't cast them aside because they don't understand it. I'm going to give them grace to realize that, okay, maybe where they're at, because maybe your life is going so well, or maybe because your head is stuck in the sand, you can't picture where I'm at.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give you grace because you probably don't have the capacity to understand me at this point.
Yeah.
Your capacity to love me is only so far, and it's only to love me sometimes when it's pretty, not when I have to be messed up.
Yes.
And so sometimes the grace requires that, for me to not cast you aside because you're not understanding me.
Yeah.
But I'm giving you grace to realize that you didn't understand me today. You didn't understand where I was coming from. You didn't understand why I was emotional.
Yeah.
But eventually, we're going to get back to that place because I'm going to give you room to grow and learn what I'm going through, and you're going to give me room to go through what I'm going through.
I must say, at that time when you told me, let's give each other grace, or give my mother grace, I didn't know what grace meant. Like, I didn't go deep into what grace meant. I have a relationship with Christ, but I didn't know what grace meant, as in me giving her grace and her giving me grace.
Right.
I think something you mentioned just now is important to give yourself some grace, and then you learn how to grace others. You gave me that word. I don't know if I ever shared this with you, but you gave me that word, and then another friend also gave me that same word, and she was like, grace. And I'm like, why does this word keep showing up? Is God trying to show me something? And then I had to dig deeper into how I give others grace, just how God gives me grace every day. And I wanted to say something like, just piggyback on what you said. Sometimes you have a very strong friend, and you think they're okay because sometimes they don't break down in front of you, or they don't cry. But I think that's what sometimes when my mother think that we are strong women, that we don't have any emotions. Because I think at one point she was like, "You going through a divorce? But I didn't know you was not okay." I'm like, "Mommy, who's gonna be okay going through a divorce? Even though I am not breaking down in front of you, know that I am not.
Yeah. Even though you're going through the daily routine, inside is like you're a hot mess."
Yes, I am not okay. So I'm saying, with your strong friends, even if they're going through a divorce, you don't know what to say, just say, "How can I be there for you?" Or "I am here for you." Just reach out. It sounds simple, but it is very valuable. Okay, so that's grace, and we'll be right back after this quick break. A special thanks goes out to all our sponsors: Jadazzles, Hair by Onyx, Makeup by Ajua, Maybelline, distributed by Lowe's Pharmacy, and On Point Shipping. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Ria Christina, and I am the leader of divorce care at Legacy Church Bahamas. So here is a quick tip for you that I want you to hold near and dear as you prepare for brighter days ahead. The thing is, as you're preparing for the brighter days ahead, you need to be mindful that you do not have to journey alone. And I can't reiterate that enough to understand, or to help you in understanding, that while you're going through this space, and even though you may be separate from your partner, someone who you probably would have grown to get connected to over whatever period of time it may have been, it's okay for you to be in a space knowing that you still won't be alone. Get yourself connected to the necessary community, and not just community, but making sure that you are not isolating yourself, because sometimes too, the trick of the enemy is to want to cause us to isolate and cause us to get deep in our thoughts, and we end up getting depressed sometimes if we allow ourselves to get so deep that we cannot find our way out. So make sure that you get yourself connected. Know that you are not having to journey by yourself. You don't have to be lonely, and you don't have to go all over the place looking for love, all right? Focus your attention on building your relationship with God. reestablishing what that relationship even looks like, reestablishing what that relationship looks like with your kids, reestablishing for some what that relationship may look like with our family members, because some of us may have withdrawn ourselves even from our family members and our friends. So we need to make sure that we get ourselves to the point where we are reconnecting once again. All right, so thank you so much. And I will say to you, continue watching the show.
Welcome back to a Safe Space podcast. Joining us is none other than our family member, Miss Ria Christina. She needs no introduction. She is the group leader at Legacy Church, and she is my divorce care facilitator. Hey, Ria.
Hey, Michaela. Nice to be here.
Welcome back to the room.
Yes.
Reiterate to our audience, what is the divorce care program?
Yes, Divorce Care is a 13-week program that's facilitated by Legacy Church Bahamas, and this is really having to provide persons who are either divorced, going through divorce, thinking about divorce, not quite sure whether or not they are in a space where they're actually separated, and they just need an avenue by which they can navigate through some things for themselves. And this is not where this is a bashing session, because we're not bashing spouses in this session. That's not what this is. This is also not about people saying, well, child, I want to, they can know my business. That's not what this is either. It's really about you being comfortable with the level of sharing that it is that you want to have. And something else I want to say too as well is we've also had international persons that were a part of some of our cohorts. So if you are international and
yes.
you are saying, something you are not familiar with there being a divorce care in your area, and you want to go ahead and be a part of our group, definitely we would be more than happy to accommodate you as well as a part of the group.
Yes, definitely. Ria, I know you heard me and my sister talking. I will extend the same question to you. How important is extending grace to others in your circle, in your support group, while going through divorce?
Well, I think that extending grace is necessary. It's pivotal. It's crucial. And while we're extending grace, though, the thought that actually came to mind as you were having the conversation is that we need to also release the expectations, though. So we can extend grace, but we have to release the expectations. Sometimes while we're going through our situations and our circumstances, we may have the expectation that everybody's going to be everything that we need them to be in the moment.
Yes.
We need to understand and appreciate that there may be times that Sheriece may only could do this portion.
Yes.
Michaela could only do this portion, or be this person, or be this part of the solution for me. Somebody else may be able to bring something else. So we have to release the expectation that Michaela is going to show up like Sheriece,
yes.
or Sheriece is going to show up like Michaela. That's not what it is. Have the appreciation that everybody's unique in their own way.
Yeah.
And while everybody's unique in their own way, allow them to be free, to be themselves, be authentic to who it is that they are, and allow them to contribute based on their own capacity, because capacity is another thing.
Very different.
It's very, very different.
Very different.
And so while we think about releasing the expectations, let's also consider the capacity of some people.
Yes.
There are some people that's in our lives, or maybe around us, or in our support system, that simply may not have the capacity to handle what it is that we're going through.
Yes.
So release them.
Yes.
Release the expectation that they ought to be able to understand. They can comprehend. They can be able to be that shoulder to cry upon. Even they may not even know that you need that shoulder.
Yes.
So think about or consider the capacity that it is that they have, knowing whether or not they are in a position to be. Extend the grace. They're going to extend it. You extend it, and release the expectation. And I think as we extend the grace, as we release expectations, that everybody's going to be everything that we need them to be, I think we'll be in a better position in order for us to be able to move forward.
That is very true words. And capacity was shown to me a couple times while I was healing, like telling me that people have different capacities. And I didn't get it, but I as it kept being nailed in, and I understand people have different capacities. And then you talked about expectations and not expecting the person to show up how you show up. I think sometimes I expect people to show up how I show up and then I'm mad when they don't, but we are different persons. So I had to kind of understand that as we go through. So
I think the other thing that I would want to add to that the same time is having to effectively communicate what it is that we actually need. And I'm reminded yet again, I think in one of the previous episodes where I mentioned that the relationship that my best friend and I have is that I communicate to her what it is that I need.
Yes.
That's how I open the conversation. So if I'm having a whatever kind of day, whatever it is that I need in that moment, I communicate to her to say, this is what's happening. This is what I need in this moment.
Yes.
And there are some instances, I will tell you, I mean, just to be quite honest with you, there are some moments she say to me, Ria, I can't do it.
I can't do it.
I do not have the capacity to do it. Right, I don't.
Yes.
And I respect that. I respect that because she's honest with herself to say where it is that she's at, and she's honest enough with me to not have to put on a front to try and be somebody or try and be able to give me what it is that she knows that she doesn't have the capacity to give me. So let's be honest with ourselves, communicate what it is that we need, because there are times that people around us, they don't know.
Yes, they don't.
They don't know. And as much as we may want to expect or think that they should know, well, because I'm going through divorce, it's automatic that they should know that I'm having a bad day. That's not always the case. Everybody may not necessarily have a bad day and in that particular moment. Yes. So if we know how to effectively communicate where it is that we are, what exactly it is that we may need, and it could be that I just need a quiet space.
Yes. Yes.
There was a moment when I just needed, I told her, I'm like, listen, I do not have the words. I do not have the words. So she said, okay, I know what to do. And she called another friend and she said, this is what to do. Make sure you sit at the couch, let her lay, play the music, and just leave her.
Yes, yes.
And you know what I did in that moment? I laid there in that couch and the tears just rolled. And after I had my moment, I was quite fine. And I was good to go. And we were good once again. So you need to communicate exactly what it is that you need.
That is a very good friend. I have a friend who, if I'm ranting and raving, telling her all about it, she say, what do you need in this moment? You need me to be your friend and just listen? Or you need my advice? Right. And if I give you my advice, know that I might not agree. I said, okay, give me your advice. Okay, but I know what you mean. The communication is very, very key, and I think grace shows up in different ways. Sometimes grace is giving people what you think they don't deserve in that moment. For example, you're somebody that works, you ain't feel it, y'all ain't getting along. You know they like chocolate cake. You have that the whole chocolate cake here. Even though y'all ain't getting along, you give them a piece of cake. And sometimes grace is not giving people what you think they deserve. You think that they hurt you so bad and they deserved you to tell them some words, and you just, you know what, it's not worth it. So I feel like grace shows up in so much different ways. And I want to thank you. I think that's a good conversation. That being said, I'm going to ask my first time guest to pick an affirmation from the Healing Bowl and read it.
All things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose.
Read it again. I love that. I love that.
Yes, and this has been like reoccurring for the past few weeks and something that I was reading. All things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are the called according to his purpose.
Amen. So Ria, I'm going to ask you just to expand on that and just give us your best tips on healing after divorce.
Yes. So I think as Sheriece was giving her affirmation, I think the reminder now goes to those of you who may feel as though divorce means your life is at an end. Your life is not over. It is not over. For some of you, it may be the beginning of a brand new season. And that's what it really is for most of us. As we navigate the space, God is giving us another opportunity. Life has not ended. It's up to you now what it is that you decide to do. How is it that you're going to take what may have seemed to be a lemon moment to make your own lemonade? Put your own flavor on it.
Yes.
Put your own flavor on it. Take what it is, no matter how bad the situation may have been. Go through the necessary healing processes. Have the conversations with the counselors. Find yourself in a support system. Find yourself with your family, your friends, those who love you closely around you. And make sure that you have yourself fully protected and covered as you are navigating this space. There is life after divorce. Yes. It's not a death sentence. I cannot say that enough. Divorce is not a death sentence. It's not to say, I want to make this explicitly clear. It's not to say that we are condoning divorce and saying you need to go ahead and just jump and get a divorce. That's not what it is that we're saying. That's not the message that's being carried out. The message and the theme here is that there is a safe space. Yeah. And you can find yourself in a safe space where you do not have to journey by yourself and feel as though you are going under and you're going to be defeated. You're not dead. God is still alive. And because he's still alive, as long as you have life, there is hope.
There's hope.
As long as you have life, there is hope. Find yourself in a safe space so that you can now journey through to the healing that God has called for you. He has designed it and designated it so that you ought to have the healing that is yours. That's your right. That is your right to have healing.
That part.
Amen.
Sheriece, anything else to add that you want to say to divorcees and your best advice to give people who are going through divorce right now? What's your best advice?
My best advice would be, you mean in regards to support or in general?
In general.
Well, one thing that I would say is that, sometimes when we face something that is new and it's scary, we sometimes want to push ourselves into people. Like, we want to make sure that we're not abandoned. We want to make sure that the people who loved us before still love us. And so we try to make ourselves so visible. But we have to realize that, especially if you're going through a divorce, there will be times when God requires you to be alone.
To be separated.
He is going to require you to be alone because at the end of the day, if you're going through something so challenging that all you do is run to people, the people will become your savior.
My Lord.
And then when they cannot show up for you, you're going to then act as though you've then been ripped apart again because the people who I thought should have been there, like Rhea said, who I communicated to that, hey, I need you at this moment. And because of their own responsibilities, they can't be there. You're now back where you've been stripped naked. I am now vulnerable again. This person doesn't understand me. How could they, put something above me and they know that I need them? And so God requires us to be alone. Yes. That's where we build back up that relationship. We had one with him before and it got weak because of, the trauma of divorce, or we didn't have one with him. Sometimes he calls us to say, this is now your time. Stop playing with me and come. Because, when we go through these things, especially if it's relationship-wise, we like to say, oh, God is all I need. We get old spiritual. Oh, the Lord is my husband. I need no man.
Yeah, somebody said, God, God's the only person I date.
Yeah, God is the only person I date, and that's my husband, right? And while that is true in regard to the fact that he is all we need because he's going to provide everything. He's going to provide the people that we need to help us through this journey. Are we at that point where we can say that I know him so well that he is all that I have? And I'm happy with that.
Yes.
So when Rhea don't answer my call, like when we used to have divorce care, and Rhea say, come, you all come on the camera, I will see your faces. Oh, by the way, Rhea was I got support from the divorce care that Rhea happened to do. And she would say, come, I will see your face tonight.
Yes, I need to see your faces.
Like what? Yes. Like no.
Sometimes your face shows something different than
your face says something different. And so the thing is, you need that alone time. You need to build that relationship with Christ because at the end of the day, for example, if your marriage was what you built your life on, you will feel like nothing now. Yes. You will feel like, well, what's next for me? I was his wife. I was his this. I was his that. And now he's gone. But when you realize now that God has allowed me for nobody to come visit me, nobody coming to visit me. You remember when I was living out west? They wouldn't even come visit me. I was living out west.
No, you're living way west.
I was living out way west.
But don't say west, just say way west.
And in the time of trouble, all I had was the Lord. Right? So there will be times when you being alone will be necessary for your growth and for your healing. Because even in those moments, God will bring back to you things that you forgot. That's what he did for me. On those days when I was kind of happy I lived way out west and nobody knew where I lived or nobody was even planning on driving that way, that was a time when I had to force myself and say, Sheriece, There's only you. Only you and the Lord.
You and the Lord. He's the company that never
exactly,
has to leave.
Never has to leave. And believe me, some days I didn't want to talk to him. So I used to go, and I used to sit there, I used to be in my mind like, I ain't going to say, like, he's the one who, like I was blaming him. And he'd slap me right back with the words, well, you know, you're faithful, I love you. So I'm into that today, because again, I wanted to be amidst people, because, you know, sometimes people, they cause you to kind of be distracted by your pain.
Yeah.
But because I was so in that moment, I didn't have any choice but to listen to what he was saying. But the alone time is not isolation, because I think Rhea said before that, you know, sometimes the devil uses isolation. I'm not talking about you isolating yourself for you to fill yourself with doubt and fear. I'm talking about making sure that you do not put anything else in the place of your time with God, because one, he's going to require it, because you're now going to have to build on something that is unbreakable.
Yes.
And that's what is sometimes needed. That alone time with him, where he's now building, he's breaking up the folly ground that you were living on, the fantasy you were living on, and he's now saying, sweetie boo, we got to start again from the scratch.
And setting
start
that
with
foundation.
me.
That
And then as you go from there, we build. And then he sends you out and he allows the people to come in. So that's where your support comes in.
Yes.
Because when I came across Rhea and divorce care, I just happened to be on Facebook, and I don't know, I don't believe in circumstance. Like I tell people, I just went on Facebook, and I think her post was like the second post. But in that moment, it was telling me like, girl, there's something you've been looking for. Like you've been looking for a church setting where persons are willing to discuss this thing, you know. Like I tell people, sometimes some people think it's like a disease, you know.
Okay.
You found someone who's willing to actually embrace this and discuss it with other people and help you to understand it from God's word in regards to how you feel, what does this mean, and all of that. And so after you spend your long time with God, like she said, you find the support you need. And you communicate, because believe me, one time my coach said it to me too, not even to me personally, she was having a live, and she said, you know, you can't get accepted people if you don't tell them, you communicate with them what you expect. You tell them what you need, and then give them the opportunity to say, well, I can be there for you in that way, or I can't. Yeah. And in going through a divorce, you have to be very honest. Sometimes you may have to say it, and you may not say it the right way, because you may be like, I'm on your run today. Like sometimes, like I told one person a couple days ago, I ain't no small talk. It happens. Like I ain't no small talk, you know.
You said blunt,
just
blunt
like that,
Okay.
you know. But then I apologized after. But the point is, alone time will be necessary, even though you may run from it. And then you have to go and be open, pray about it, and be open to the support that God is going to send you, because sometimes he will send you even people who you didn't know you need in that moment.
Yes. Amen and amen. Remember, family, release your support group from expectations and show grace. See you next episode.
Yes, I wanna heal. Yeah. Wait, I gotta feel. No. Ooh, I just don't know. But I wanna grow. Where can I go? To a safe place. Talking about a safe space. Yeah, a safe space.
Special thanks to my glam team. Hair by Onyx, makeup by Ajua, clothing by Jadazzles.